Code S Round 16. Life, RorO, Curious, SOS, Zest, Maru, Soulkey, Deer, Classic, Squatter, Party, Rain, Sue, Trap, Hero, Byung.
Welcome to the GSL.
Welcome to the GSL.
I'm Artosis alongside Wolf. Tasteless has to be out today, not feeling so well. But I'm back, so that's good. How are you doing, Wolf?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed casting with your partner. Now I get to cast with you. And,
Don't you think you moving in on my territory? That is my caster.
All right, well, now I get to cast with you.
Yeah.
I'm moving in on his territory.
That's fine.
I
like being chased.
It's been a long time since we cast together, actually.
It has been, but always have a good time with you, Wolf.
Me too.
Should be a fun cast today. I really like that. Welcome to the GSL.
Well, all the players we have in the round of 16 are insanely good, so it feels like hell.
Feels like heaven to me. I don't know about you, Wolf, but I love StarCraft II.
Well, I get to watch it. We get to observe all these players clashing against each other, trying to advance, of course, the round of 8. And anyone who fails, of course, is going to feel like it's hell.
Indeed, it certainly is. This group today, pretty Zerg heavy.
Pretty Zerg heavy. 3 Zergs,
Yeah.
1 Protoss.
Yeah. And it's a very strong group. I want to get your take on who is going to make it out of this group.
This is one of the hardest groups to predict.
I feel like it is.
Along with Group B. And the reason why it's so hard to predict is because there's so many Zerg players, so much volatility. I originally thought, Curious and Life for sure.
Oh, okay.
But now I'm like, maybe Life and RorO. It's really hard. I would just with how well Curious played in the round of 32, it seems like he's playing better than he ever has before. So that's why I give him a slight edge here. Life is really good at adapting in a group, and he's a bit unpredictable himself, so that's something else to consider.
Yeah, okay.
RorO's like the most consistent out of all of them. And then, our pros player, SOS, I just don't think he's going to get out of this group.
You really don't?
Even though he has the advantage, he's only preparing for one matchup. I don't think he's getting out today.
Okay. Well, let's take a look at these players, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. From Terran's, as I was saying before, look at this. The highest percentage went through out of all 3 races.
Terran must be too strong.
It seems to me like this is definitive proof that Terran does not need buffs or anything like that. Now, Zerg, though, only 38.5% getting through.
Yeah.
Whereas just over half of the Protosses made it through.
Yeah, 16-9 there. And, Byung and Maru, 2 very strong Terran players. Did not expect Byung to get through, but he did. Played some pretty nice...
Dude, Byung is really good.
Really nice timings in his group with his SV pulls. Really liked his playstyle there.
Yep. I'm sure that we'll see plenty more of that from him in this tournament. What I really like about this set of 3 here that we see, first off, obviously that Maru's left for Terran because he's like the best, but also the Zerg squad that we saw there, which is now gone. But those are like really, really, really the best Zergs in the world.
Yeah,
and they have been for a long, long time. Like Life, RorO, Soulkey, everyone knows that already. Curious has been like the most stable pro gamer, and anytime you talk to an actual Zerg pro, you're like, oh, I really respect Curious. This guy knows how to do absolutely everything in the game. So, and then you add in Sue on top of all that, and he's a GSL finalist. He's really like grown his play a lot. I just feel like that Zerg lineup is so representative of the best Zergs. It's great to see.
I would actually agree completely. Our Protoss lineup is pretty solid as well. We've got more Protoss really than we've ever seen before. I'm really looking forward to Zest in particular, how well he does this season.
Oh god, he was just such a killer in Pro League. To all-kill SKT1, that was... Well, actually, I was kind of upset about that because it made a match that I thought was going to be epic. Like, the whole Pro League playoffs in the last season was so crap.
Yeah,
it was so bad. Like, the parting all-kill and then the Soulkey games. and then the Zest all kill. And I'm like, well, this was the playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely not the best showing from those players that we saw. Group B here is our new group of death. It has Zest, Maru, Sulky, and Deer. You can't ask for a better group than that.
It's silly how strong this group is. I have no idea. The only thing I know is that Deer is going to be in trouble here with the way he's been playing lately.
Yeah, he's out of shape, I would say, right now.
I can't imagine him getting through a group like this. Like, I look at it, I'm like, Sulky has to come out, right?
Yeah.
But so does Maru, and Zest is playing so well. But don't forget that Deer, when he's playing his best, beats everybody. So
he got out of his group like in round of 32 by a thread. You know, it looked like he was not getting out of that.
No,
he barely made it out.
That was a messy group, and that was some messy play from him. But you know what? I think he has. This happens a lot when people switch teams and switch the situation that they're in, where they go through a little dip. So I think Deer will be back. Will he be back tomorrow, though?
Yeah, that's the question, man. Because he's only got 1 day left to get back into form. The Ups group is pretty interesting, too. A lot of people would say he might be able to get out of that one, but with how well Hero's been playing recently, I'm not so sure. And Sue is obviously Sue. Trap's kind of the wild card of that group D, I would say.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Trap comes out, but he's got a good match there with Sue first round, just because he is so sharp on his PvZ plays, on his timing attacks, and his execution. So I think that he's in a situation where it's up to him to play absolutely the best games of his life and get out of there.
Yeah, that's a good point, the first match that he's playing. So really solid groups we've got here. And
indeed.
This is one of the best round of 16s we've ever had, I feel.
It's pretty sick. And by the way, guys, please do notice that Group D is actually on Friday this week, and we have Group B on Thursday.
Yeah.
So it had to be moved around for IM. Just want you guys to remember that.
Yeah, just keep it in mind. You know, we want to keep all the players outside of the GSL schedules in mind, so they don't have to miss GSL just because they want to do something else.
Yeah. So it looks like we're going to have a little interview.
부담스러워요. 예, 마이크 좀 들어두시고. 그럼 여기서 이제 솔직하게 인터뷰 가도록 하겠습니다. 이제 군단의 심장에서 코드 S 올라오면서 다시 한번 이제 8강과 4강전 우승까지 도전하는 입장인데 사실상 이승현 선수가 특히 군단의 심장 넘어오면서 공격전이 너무 약했어요. 지금의 이승현, 그 과거의 이승현과 확실하게 좀 달라졌습니까?
So he's saying your ZBZ kind of weakened a little bit going into Heart of the Swarm.
지금은
저를 쳐다보고 좀 말씀을 좀 해주세요.
네, 지금은 자신 있고 한동안 너무
See what Life has to say about that.
이번에는 잘하고 싶어요.
I haven't been doing well, I admit that. But right now I'm really confident.
약점으로 꼽혔던 저그 대 저그전을 좀 넘어서야 되는데 사실상 이 데이터적인 부분을 찾아봤을 때 가장 낮은 종족전이 저그전이거든요. 최근의 분위기는 어떻습니까?
최근에는 저그전이 제일 잘 되고
Your weakest matchup is ZBZ. How are you doing recently?
그 옆에 있는 이연표 선수 찾아봤을 때 가장 깔끔하게 이번 16강전 올라갔는데 개인적으로 여기서
Recently his ZBZ got a little bit better, he says.
그런 거 없이 무조건 이기고 올라갈 거죠. 솔직히 어때요?
만나면 이기도록 해야죠.
만나면 이기도록 하고.
Honestly, what would happen if you had to play against Curious, your teammate? Wants to know, like, frankly, from him.
다 잘하는 선수라서.
I guess I gotta beat him, he says.
이승현 선수가 조금 더 높고요.
Sad to have a team kill, but it does happen from time to time. Especially with random drawings rather than pick drawings. We did change that
우승
format.
상금이 해외 다른 곳은 뭐 2천만 원, 2천 몇백만 원 정도인데 대한민국 유독 세죠. 7천만 원. 이렇게 되면은 지난 WCS 체제의 3회분을 그냥 대회 3개를 한 번에 먹어버리는 건데 욕심 날 만할 것 같은데요. 어떠세요?
욕심은 나는데 일단 실력이 뒷받침돼야 하고.
So he's talking about the WCS Korea prize pool is actually higher than the other regions. And he says, I'm sure you're feeling greedy at the moment.
자, 그리고 신노열 선수도 마찬가지입니다.
Says he's really motivated, he really wants to win. I'm sure that money is probably part of the motivation.
Money's nice, but I think for many pros it's also the just wanting to win.
The glory.
지금 적으로서는 어떠세요?
In Wings of Liberty, you're one of the best players, but in Heart of the Swarm, you're not, quite frankly. So, ask him how he feels about that.
지금 이 모든 것들이 이제 데이비드 킴이 신노 선수에게 지금 많은 도움을 줬다는 말씀이신데
Thanks to
어느
Blizzard
부분이
for the
그렇게
recent
도움이 많이
patch,
됐나요?
and I think I'm getting better. Hydra's buffed slightly. Probably what he's talking about. He's like, thanks for buffing Widow Mines against Shields. It's really helped me out.
무조건 내가 우승할 거다라고 그런 강한 자신감을 내비쳤거든요. 이번 시즌 어떻습니까? 상금이 7천만 원인데.
He said that he thought the Terran matchup was a little bit harder because of the mines, but he got nerfed slightly, so he feels better about that. That was kind of a while ago, though.
내 동기부여 1000만이 됐는데 지금도 7천만이 너무 커가지고 아무한테도 뺏기면 배가 아플 것 같아서 열심히 하고 있어요.
그러면 오늘 특히 3명의
So the last time I won GSL, the prize pool was huge, and I was really motivated. And this time it's also pretty big, so I'm feeling that same kind of motivation.
비해서 저그전이 더 변수가 많아서 그 부분은 좀 더 마음에 안 들긴 한 것 같아요.
네, 저는 오늘 멋진 경기 한번 기대하겠습니다. 자, 그리고 돌아온 판독기.
The thing I don't like about my group is there's so many Zergs and it's very, there's so many variables in CVZ, which is so true as something we talked about a little bit earlier. Especially when you've got Life in your group too. He's like the most variable Zerg.
That's true.
아까도 신노현
You're
선수가
curious.
다른 사람이 먹는 모습을 보게 되면
Someone who
굉장히
played
배가 아프지
amazingly
않을까.
this round of 32
그런
matches.
생각이 들고 제가 먹어서
So just like RorO mentioned, because the prize pool is so huge,
해드리고 싶은 생각이 있어요.
it's not going to be easy to watch somebody else take that money.
자, 오늘
Poor
경기
Curious. He's never gonna win GSL, is he?
거의 한 100년 가까이
Well, he hasn't gotten
네,
past the round of 8 ever before. I think he only got the round of 8 once.
그냥 뭐 항상 똑같이 살았어요.
You haven't been in Code S for almost half a year. What have you been doing?
자, 오늘 개인적으로 봤을 때 이번 16강에서 개인적으로 승자식 같은 게 있거든요. 이원표 선수가 지금 보시기에는 누구누구 올라갈지 한번
doing the same as usual.
제가 봤을 때는 사실
He's just a machine that predicts who's going to advance.
이승현 올라가고
Kind of like Wolf.
살짝 불안한데
That's what I do too.
근데 아마 제가
He thinks Life is gonna make it.
두 분을 이기게 되면은 자연스럽게
Gotta agree with Curious there.
Yeah, me too.
네.
I think he's also, I think he's got a pretty good chance of getting out himself.
오늘 그
I'm not so
이원표와
confident about myself, he says.
나머지 두 선수 들러리일 뿐이다라고 말씀해 주셨는데 김우진 선수 이야기 한번 들어봐야죠.
He says if they lose to me, they'll end up in Code A just like anyone else who loses to me.
그런데 오늘 떨어진대요, 이원표
So I'm
선수.
sure they're really motivated. Curious has been called the gatekeeper in Korea because of this. I mean, he's always in the round of 32 Code S or like the last round of Code A when we had that type of format. He's always on the edge, deciding people's fates.
야, 예. 확실하게 이번 경기는 신노현 선수가 둘이
SOS
올라갈 수 있다.
predicts
그 이유는요? 어떤
that
부분에서?
RorO and he will make it out.
선수를 어렵게 이기고 올라가고
예.
신노현 선수
And he's just saying that Curious thinks Life's going to make it just because of his
진짜로?
teammate.
신노현 선수가 저한테 좀 살살해 주시고
Bold words from SOS here.
최종전 가서 올라오실 것 같아요.
야, 모든 시나리오를 그려주셨어요. 아니, 이원표 선수, 저 어떡합니까? 지금 이 시나리오도 대로가면 오늘 떨어지는 건데요?
아 그렇게 될 수가 없어요.
절대?
둘 중에 한 분은 무조건 잘못되게 돼 있어요.
그래요?
네.
자, 무조건 확실한 겁니까?
확실합니다.
그 근거는 어디서 나오죠?
그냥 보시면 알아요.
He's Curious is pretty confident that it's not going to go as SOS predicts. At least one of them is going to have bad luck and
이승현
drop.
선수, 자, 봤을 때 어때요? 지금 이런 시나리오.
That's what Life has to say.
상관 안 써요. 말하는 거.
많은 거 신경 안 써요? 아무리 얘기해도 그냥 이승현 선수는 그냥 마이웨이.
네.
예, 알겠습니다. 그 마이웨이 한번 지켜보도록 하고. 자, 마지막으로 신노현 선수는요.
Life said he wasn't really paying that much attention to what they were saying, actually. He's like just doing Zerg versus Zerg builders in his head right now. He's like not paying attention at all. Can we just start the games? What's this interview thing we're doing right now? Why is that important?
뭐 김유진 선수는 누구 상관없이 그냥
RorO says he's certain that Life will make it.
예, 알겠습니다. 자, 오늘 선수들
And he says for the other three, the skill level is about the same, so it's really hard to predict. Pretty modest.
All right. Interesting set of interviews there. So I do want to go back to the predictions, Wolf, and I want a solid from you. Which two players will advance?
Life
in
and
what order?
Curious.
Life and Curious.
Life first and Curious second.
Okay.
And even if he has to go down to the consolation match, I think he's going to make it out. So we're going to take a look at a highlight video, guys. Watch it. Stay tuned.
이승현
아래쪽에 가시네요.
들어가서 지금 싸우는데 이제 거의 풀로 차 있거든요.
네,
이승현 적으로서 16강 진출 확정됐습니다.
와, 3-4번 비탈. 네, 3-4번.
야, 진짜 하늘
와, 이거 진짜 예상치 못한 아닙니다.
지금
진유까지.
누가 버리죠? 그냥 녹여버리는 거예요. 그냥 없습니다.
네.
정확하고요. 뮤탈리스크라는 잡아버리고 이번 경기 김대엽을 끌어내리면서 2연표가 16강에 올라갑니다. 선수는 안쪽까지 반드시 매치를 해놓고요.
이제 힘이 붙이죠.
초보전 자체가 그러면서 됐고
타락기 나왔어요. 모선에.
손 났어요.
코이스트 힘이 없죠.
잘 싸워봤지. 경기 끝났습니다. 정말 날카롭게 파고드는 김대엽 선수의 그 공격을 끝까지 버텨내면서 역전승을 만들어낸 신노일 선수네요. 로봇공학 시설 자체가 없기 때문에 관측선이 없어요.
지금 해야 되는 플레이는
이거 아예 완성같이 올라가는 그 기미 자체가 안 보입니다. 뒤로 또 몰리네요. 다시 한번 암흑 기사를 꺼내들 줄이야.
이건 좌절입니다.
한재영 취재 경기 끝났습니다. 이 심리전 전략적인 운영을 전하는 김유진 선수 그 호를 찌르면서 상대를 제압해야 되는데 다시 한번 한재훈 선수는
All right. This is such a good picture of like what SOS is like sometimes. Like all the other highlight videos are all about like macro games, good skill and harassment. His just was like, you didn't have protection. That's my
that was
video.
actually, as far as higher like reels go, I'm not a fan of that one because normally they're awesome, they get me pumped, but like watching Mutas kill 8 Immortals on Alterzeme of all maps, I'm like, well, I can't actually even imagine a situation in which I'd actually want 8 Immortals against Zerg on that map. Like, I just can't even imagine it because it's like such a good map for Mutalisk and such a bad map for walking across the map.
Yeah.
And then to watch this DTs kill probes, I'm like, I don't know, guys, about this highlight reel. I'm sorry.
Very frankly said, Artosis.
Yeah, I gotta be honest sometimes and just call that out, but not the greatest.
Well, the DT one is just the best.
Well, that was funny because people, it's like they're yelling, and it's like, well, no, I mean,
he didn't have detection. Game over.
This is sometimes the difference between Korean commentary and English, because I would sit there and be like, all right, so he doesn't have detection, so these 2 DTs are going to end the game right here. As you can notice, 2 of them kill probes really fast.
Yeah.
He's not even moving them because he's just angry and getting ready to leave the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here we are.
Here we are.
So you said Curious and Life.
Yeah. What do you feel?
It's so hard because I totally agree on Life. I think for sure Life is going to come out of here.
I feel like you're going to say RorO here.
I'm hemming and hawing actually quite a bit here. I don't think Curious actually. I think it's going to be RorO or it's going to be SOS. And I think that the thing is, I feel like Curious might even beat SOS, but the thing is, I don't feel like Curious is a finisher, man. Like someone's going to come up and kill him. But
as far as I know, I think he's only been in the round of 8 one time. And he's been
sounds about right.
He's been in Code S so many times. He's like you said, one of the most consistent pieces that
he's
we've
like
had here.
The 32nd best player in the world for sure.
Yeah, I mean
he's kind of like what Keen was at one point, where like every season Keen went through the up and downs, lost in the round of 32. Of course, Curious has done a lot better recently, and I actually think his overall skill level is higher than where he finishes. It feels like, but.
I feel like, Curious this season could be his season to do really well, especially with how well he prepared for his round of 32 group. His play was quite good. He was very impressive with, his multitasking and how he played there. And I know he's been training really hard. A lot of people have told me this, personally, just like coaches and players, his teammates are saying like Curious is working like so much harder than everybody else right now. He's just really trying to make it. And
I would love to see him get through just on the back of that. That would be like really awesome to see.
I mean, if I just heard those words, I wouldn't call it. But I look at his round of 32 performance, and I'm like, I think he actually will get through today. Well, which is one of the boldest predictions I think I've ever made because it's Curious. He doesn't normally go far. But
the thing is, it can be a little bit hard to prepare for a couple players in this group. First off, you can prepare for RorO pretty much. Like, RorO, you can sit down, watch his VODs, be like, okay, I understand what this guy's range is, what the things are he can do. You sit down, you watch Life and SOS VODs, you're probably going to get more confused than going in blind and just pretending this is a set of ladder games. Because they just the way that they like randomize their play, the aggression that they mix in, the macro games that they mix in, just the style with which they control their units is so different from other players. So I feel like that is going to, and both of them are like really top tier champions. So for him to get through, like all 3 of these guys in this group with Curious are champions.
Yeah, that's true. He's got 3 champions in there that he's facing. Life is so hard to predict because he's so unpredictable. His play, he'll play extremely greedy against you, or he'll change it up and do a 10 pool, bailing all in. And There's so much ZVZ. That's why I feel like he's just going to get out for sure. Like, how could he not? Because he seems to be so hard to prepare for. And SOS, we talked about this before, but he prepares only for PvZ, so he only has to think about one matchup, whereas all the Zerg players have to think about both.
But you have to be careful because you have to have a lot of builds prepared. He might have to play up to 9 PvZs today. 9 different PvZs on a variety of maps.
And
so
everybody's watching. You know, when you're not playing, you're just going to sit and watch the games and see exactly how he's playing it. So he could get a little bit of predictable.
Yeah, he's going to have a really foolproof strategy, like a certain way to open up various games that looks similar in each set.
Yeah.
Or people are going to know what he's doing. If he's showing like completely different things on each map, his opponent will be able to scout that and figure out what's going on a lot quicker.
For sure. Also, something that gets here in this group that we haven't really talked too much about is Daedalus Point, because we have the map pick. So basically, Daedalus Point is a map that the foreign scene has talked a lot about, but also has been heavily discussed in the Korean scene. I talked to Korean commentators about this a few days ago, and they're like, well, because of Daedalus Point, I also give SOS a tough time to advance from a group with 3 Zergs, because that map is just, even though it's been changed, still pretty Zerg favored right now.
That's right. That's definitely true. But SOS is the type of guy that has such a different Protoss style that I think it doesn't affect him as much as some other players.
That's
if you
well
take
said.
someone completely standard like Rain, for instance, I feel like that map for Rain is this huge, is such a detriment, right? Like, it's like, well, Rain, you're either going to try to take a 3rd right away or you're going to do Zealot Phoenix Harassment. And other than that, you're going to play very standard.
Yeah.
So Zergs are going to be able to abuse this map for you. Whereas SOS, it's like, well, there could be DTs, it could be a Blink All-In, it could be a Void Ray Charge Law, and just the variety is going to make it harder for Zergs to abuse the map on a single game against him.
Yeah, I really like what you said there, because that's very true. Especially, you know, a player like Rain or Creator or somebody like that is so predictable, whereas you know, SOS is really not. So life stats are obviously pretty good here. He was able to beat Younghwa and Dark to get out of the round of 32. He's ranked 14 currently in WCS Korea.
Poor Younghwa, man.
Yeah, poor Younghwa. He was close, man, but
yeah. I'm always sad every time.
Every single time.
Oh well. So Life played very well in that group, though. Overall, I would say I was happy with his play. He looked good. You know, kind of some cheesy stuff going on, but that's Life, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's what he does.
What'd you think? Did you see the drone attack?
I tuned in right after that. That was the only game I did not see.
I would like to get your input on that. It was funny. He said in the interview afterwards, it was like, yeah, no, I just kind of did that randomly. Every now and then I win with it. And it's like, wow, dude, you just...
Was it like a 12 drone
doesn't care.
What type of play was it?
He literally sent all of his drones except for one with like a 10 pool to try to kill, like drone drill through the wall. But then I'm like, well, he's going to see this and make a pylon, right? And then that happened and the game was over. It's like, oh, sick game, Life. All right, it was a quick night for Tasteless and I.
Certainly.
Okay, so RorO. I thought he's been playing pretty well lately.
Yeah, his Pro League games against Protoss, I think he's currently 5-1 in that.
Yeah, he's actually been killing Protoss quite well in Pro League.
He just plays that late game style. He's very good at using Swarm Host and trying to shut down Protoss aggression.
I've noticed recently he's been liking Roach Bro movement a bit more. What are your thoughts on that, Wolf?
Yeah, I'm not so sure exactly if that's... I mean, it's really good for harassment. I'm not sure if that's really going to be a game changer here.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times in ZVZ you will end up getting it, both for harassment and, you know, just kind of a little bit of sneakiness.
I mean, forcing your opponent to make overseers, spend that gas.
And, I mean, you get to heal if you get Burrow, and why not have it? And
yeah, we've seen a lot of players sometimes, you know, sneak a Burrow movement attack to the right or left side of the map during the fight, and then because it's so hard to micro, you end up losing a lot of drones before you realize it.
It's very true. It's hard to split up units as the defender, whereas as the attacker, it's a lot easier because you can just run away from points.
Yeah, that's true. Frost is our first map, so it's a 4-player map. It's actually my least favorite map in the pool right now. But
really?
Yeah.
Really?
We'll talk about that when we get in the game,
need to talk about that when we get in the game, Wolf.
All right, we will.
Okay, let's get into the game.
Let's do it right now.
So we can talk about that. The GSL
Code S, round of 16.
When my head says no, I'm ready.
2014 Hot 6 GSL Season 1 Round 16 Live versus RorO.
Okay, so just looks like we have RorO in the bottom right, and Life in the bottom left. Okay, so and that's a
10 pull. Looks like yeah.
Okay, and that is RorO. So.
Okay, so I don't like this map because it's...
Okay, wait. First off, out of the whole map pool, this is your least favorite map?
Yes.
For GSL this season?
Well, besides Taylor's Point, but I feel like that doesn't really count.
Okay.
I mean...
okay, even if we take that out. So that's your
if we take
least
that
favorite.
out.
Now, why is it your least favorite map?
I really don't like 4-player maps that are big. I don't like Ultrazeme either, but like...
How could you like Ultrazeme more than this map? This is the point that I'm trying to get to. I'm gonna cut to the chase.
Okay, so if you look at Ultrazeme, it's a much bigger map. And if it's a map that's that big, then at least it's much easier to pull off risky and all-ins, or not all-in, but like economic strategies, like really fast Nexus first, for example, and a PBT. Whereas on this map, it's big, but still you might get 10 pulled by Life and die. This is RorO actually that's doing the 10 pull, though, excuse me. But he might end up dying here because of this on this map, because it's like 4 players, so it's hard for him to scout where his opponent is and identify the build, but at the same time it's small enough to where a build like this can actually kill you. That's my take on it. Ultrazeme is much bigger.
Just something having to do with the randomness of how cheese builds affect you.
Exactly. I don't like...
Did you happen to see the Sulky ZVP game on Ultrazeme where he went like 6 pool and made 16 links?
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, I'm just throwing that out
so
there.
that did happen as well. That's a good point, actually.
But no, let's we'll talk about that more in a minute, because this part's going to be fun. Here's the thing. This
he hides the
build
links.
10 pool Baneling, and he's going to scout this. 10 pool Baneling is something that kind of got solved, like I want to say almost a year ago now.
Yeah.
Where people just know how to micro against. I remember when Lenok held it, that was like a defining day in ZVZ. Notice how he split up his drones a lot. But he is bringing in these actual Zerglings to go after.
Wow, that was... What?
Well, I mean...
Did he just blow 2 Banelings up on the hatchery, or am I like seeing things?
No, he totally did.
Well, that kind of makes this build pretty useless here, nearly. I mean, he's got more links coming across the map.
You know what? I think I understand what's going on here. RorO actually said he was sure that Life would make out of the group, right?
Yeah.
So he's just trying to make sure that his prediction is correct by like choosing a dated strategy on a giant map and then executing it poorly.
Well, he's certainly helping Life's cause, that's for sure. This Baneling, let's see if he kills this one on the hatchery. He's got it right next to the hatchery. Almost does. He kills all the larvae.
Yeah, I mean, that's nice at least, right? So he's killed 1 worker. And he's killed 7 units.
GG.
So that was like the worst
game we've ever seen this season.
Yeah, it was really bad. That was really a bad game. I'm so sorry, everybody.
Life was like, what just happened?
So I want to go back just to the strategy itself. 10 pool Baneling was kind of solved already.
Yeah.
You do things like split up your drones, and then when they start coming in, you send your drones in little tiny packs, like 2 drones towards the other mineral patches, because a Baneling blowing up on 2 drones isn't efficient, and you're not going to win that way. So this is something that we haven't seen win against a top-level player, and here's the kicker. Life has better micro than 99% of Zerg pros.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't think of someone off the top of my head that has better micro than he does. So I feel like that is the worst strategy RorO could have ever picked, and he right-clicked on the hatchery with Baneling. So between those two, I am disappointed.
Well, I am as well. Polar Knight is the map pick here for RorO, so he's going to pick a 2-player map this time. I wonder if he'll actually just do an early pool build again, this time on a 2-player map.
I venture to say no. I mean, like really, if you look at Life's strong points, what you actually want to do against him is a roach timing. That's like actually exactly. First, the kid loves Zerglings. He loves playing on the edge of his seat. So if you wall in with Evos and you do a roach timing with upgrades, when you have like either 1-1 or just +1, the Lings are going to be at their least effective point, and that's like his unit.
Yeah.
And there's not any micro involved in that. He can't out-micro you. You have a group of roaches. You have not a death ball, but you have a ball of roaches. It's like there's not a lot of micro that goes into playing against that. So I feel like a strategy like that is going to do well for RorO here.
Yeah, definitely could go for it. Let's hope we see at least a better game than we saw in game number 1.
It would be, like, I actually would like to see a worse game because I think that's impossible to pull off here. Yeah, that would be more exciting for sure.
Well, let's find out.
When my head says no, I'm ready.
2014 Hot 6 GSL Season